Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, February 9th, around 4 o'clock p.m., day after the Super Bowl. Boy, was the Super Bowl horrible. I'm not even going to get it. I'm not even just going to say because of the halftime show or because of all of the antics that went on during, before, all that, but just the game itself was not even good. So, man, what a not a great year for NFL Super Bowl. I thought Kendrick's performance was pretty good last year. It was kind of a bad it was a very bad year. I mean, they snubbed Lil Wayne but gave it to that other guy. I'll never understand. But that being said, right before the Super Bowl, Trump got on and did an hour interview, and I have the exclusive here. JD Vance had a press today with the Prime Minister of Armenia. We will look into that. Elon has some stuff going on with SpaceX, and then Maxwell had her trial or her judiciary hearing today, and she pleaded the fifth. So we'll go ahead and dive down that little rabbit hole as we go. So I am going to go ahead and get into the beginning, which was the Trump interview. And let's see what he had to say. Hit the like, share, subscribe. Hope you guys are doing well. And I will get into this now. So let's go.
Faces growing pressures ahead of the midterms. What he said about the possibility of a Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio presidential ticket in 2028. Plus, what Trump says FBI agents were looking for when they raided an election office in Georgia, and his warning to Iran's supreme leader after that country's deadly protest crackdown. And the notable response when asked about his relationship with former President Bill Clinton. But we begin our conversation with the Super Bowl and whether he was ready to make a prediction. Mr. President, we thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
As you know, Americans are getting ready for the Super Bowl, for this great big game, and you have two teams, the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I've watched them both during the season, and New England's amazing because to have a second coming is pretty good. Quarterbacks, both good. Seattle's an amazing comeback quarterback, and the other one's just an amazing quarterback. I think it's going to be a great game. You know, I like both areas of our country very much. I better not make any predictions. You get yourself in big trouble. But I think it's going to be a really great game. Seattle's had an amazing season.
Yeah. Strong defense.
New England has a great tradition of winning. And Bob Kraft's done a fantastic job. You know, the whole thing is really, it's going to be very exciting. The quarterback situation's interesting.
They're great. They're both great.
Both great.
That leads me to my next question. You have a really good relationship with the Patriots, including the former head coach, Bill Belichick. Right. What did you think when he was snubbed on the first ballot of the Hall of Fame?
I thought it was terrible. I mean, he's won so much, won so many Super Bowls, great coach. Became a little bit controversial, I guess, after that. His little period after that. During it, he was just a great coach. I thought it was very inappropriate.
You think he deserves it, the Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Well, you know, you have a great career, and he has had a little bit of a controversial year and a half, 2 years, maybe. But what difference does that make? No, he should be in there right at the top.
What are your plans for the Super Bowl? We know you're not going to go over there. You're going to watch here, and who are you inviting?
I'll be sitting in probably Palm Beach, depending on what happens. You know, in my position in this job of mine, sometimes you have to move around quickly, very quickly. But we'll be most likely at Mar-a-Lago or one of my clubs, watching with a lot of people, a lot of friends, or I may very well be in the White House.
Friends and families just like you will be coming together on Super Bowl Sunday. People are shopping this week. Yeah. They're running the kids around. They're trying to heat their homes with this brutal winter we've been having. In the last year, a lot of prices have come down. Things like gas and eggs, but others since you took office have come up, like natural gas and coffee. When can Americans expect those prices to come down?
Well, they've already come down. I think you've seen, Tom, when I took over, eggs, poultry, all these things were through the roof. In fact, the first question I got, what are you going to do about eggs? It was my second day in office at a news conference, and they were screaming, what are you going to do about eggs? Eggs had gone up like 4 times. If you notice over the last few days, it's only a few days, but the Democrats have gone to another subject. I think they're probably saying dictator or something. They've got a new word. They don't use the word affordability anymore because prices are way down. Gasoline is, I just left Iowa, $1.99 and even $1.85 a gallon, $1.85 a gallon. That's in Iowa. Many states are cracking $2. Gasoline is way down. And honestly, everything is coming way down. Beef is coming down.
Yeah, but beef, coffee, natural
No,
gas,
they're
those are all
coming
you
down.
bring that
Coffee's,
up.
yeah,
It
coffee's
won't
coming
come down.
Well, it's already come down. I'll tell you what, in the last 4 days, it's only 4 days, the Democrats have not uttered the word affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem. I took over a mess in every way. The border was a mess. That everybody admits. The border is great. Crime was a mess right now. 125 years. It's the lowest crime that we've had since 1900. So we're doing a job. But the one thing that they don't say anymore is affordability, because I fixed the problem that they created.
Let's stay on the economy. You just mentioned it. You said you inherited a mess from President Biden when it comes to the economy. But at what point is it on you? At what point are we in the Trump economy?
Oh, I'd say we're there now. I'm very proud of it, 5.6%. You know, we have a GDP of 5.6 despite a shutdown. We had a 42-day shutdown. I call it the Democrat shutdown. And because of that, I lost 1.5 points. I would have been at a 7 GDP, which hasn't been seen, I don't know, ever, maybe ever.
Yeah.
And I think 26 is even going to be better. You know, we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country, actually trillions. $18 trillion is being invested in our country as we speak. And there are factories and plants and thousands of businesses being built all over the country. Nobody has ever seen it. I just spoke to President Xi of China. Nobody has ever seen anything like what's happening right now in America.
When will we see those jobs and those factories open? Because manufacturing has been down.
Well, you're already seeing it in construction because they're all building. You know, we have factories being built, car plants are coming in from Canada, coming in from Mexico. They're leaving Germany, Japan. They're all coming into the United States. And you're seeing it in your construction numbers. And, you know, the plant, we have to build them. And the plants are under construction.
In your term, you think those plants will open in your term?
They'll be opening up over the next year and a half,
You've had successes on immigration, some big ones. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, but the entire country watched those videos of 2 Americans being killed in Minneapolis. You've gotten calls from your own supporters to make changes, and now you're pulling out some officers from Minneapolis. Are there more changes coming?
Well, the reason we're pulling out, because we've done a great job there. You know, we have crime down there, despite tremendous blowback from a governor that's incompetent and from a mayor who's just, I don't know what the hell, where he comes from. But the crime numbers in Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular are down 25, 30% because we've removed thousands of criminals from the area. These are hardened criminals that came in, many of them, most of them came in through an open border. And we've done a great job. But look at Washington, D.C. It's like a safe city. You can walk to the White House. You didn't have to take an armored vehicle. You could walk. Washington safe. Look at what happened in Louisiana. I got a call from the governor.
Right.
Please do something with New Orleans. We went there 4 weeks ago. Crime is down 71%. Memphis, Tennessee, crime is down 80% after 5 weeks. And here's a big thing. Crime historically in this country, it's down at the lowest level it's ever been. And a bad word, murder. We've had less murders than we have had in decades.
Yeah. One more question on the Super Bowl.
And you know why? Because we're tough on crime.
The Super Bowl is this sort of rare time in America, right? Where we're all united.
Right.
It's a common experience. There's still divisions in this country, right? And Democrats will say it's all because of you. And then Republicans will say Democrats don't want to work with President Trump. They blame President Trump for everything. What's one thing you can do really to help Americans find common ground?
Well, you know, we're working on the Save America Act, which is going to secure up a lot of things, but secure up our voting. I think people would like to do it, and I think Democrats would too. You know, when you go to voter ID and you ask Democrats, it's polling at 82% with Democrats. I'm not talking about Democrat politicians. I'm talking about Democrats. We have to do something about our voting. We need strong borders. We need a fair press, which we don't have. And we need, and very importantly, we need the strong border, the fair press, and we need fair elections. We need elections where people aren't able to cheat. And we're going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it done. And by the way, it polls, even with Democrats, they want that.
Okay, let's drill down into the news today. That big change on immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the auto pen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats,
Speaking of
that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them. And then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere. The only place there's been a little inflammation has been really, it's not Minnesota, because we've done well with
Los Angeles, too. There's been others.
Well, I saved Los Angeles. The top law enforcement officer, right at the beginning of my time when they were having riots, before me and it carried into me. If I didn't go in there with the National Guard, with troops, you wouldn't have the Olympics, which I got the Olympics. You wouldn't have the Olympics in Los Angeles. And he said, without the president sending in the troops, we would have lost Los Angeles. And you know what? I saved Los Angeles. And we will do it again if we have to. And by the way, we're going to have a very safe Olympics, and we're going to have a very safe World Cup.
Speaking of Minneapolis, after the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the two incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, and she was not an angel. You look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. And nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country. If we don't back them, you're going to end up, look, Washington, D.C. was a very unsafe place to be. You couldn't walk to the White House. You couldn't walk to a restaurant. Restaurants were closing. I inherited not only a mess with the country, I inherited a horrible, very dangerous capital. Do you know Washington, D.C. is now an extremely safe place? You see what happened. You're here a lot.
When you mentioned Renee Good,
let me ask you, Tom. You're here a lot. Would you have walked down the street a year and a half ago with your family? No. But today you can, and nothing's going to happen.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, two incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people. And they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals. We're dealing with people, jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world, from Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo in Africa, from all over the world. Jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out. And we're getting them out. Remember this, again, I say it again and again. We have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear, because it sounds like there is a shift in immigration enforcement here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people, you know, we do a good job, we don't get credit for it. I say they have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is
Who has to ask and who has to say please?
The mayor or the governor. I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible. Like, for instance, I got a call from Jeff Landry, governor of Louisiana. He said, we have a big problem. Could you go in and help us with well, let's see, certain sections. I mean, to be honest with you, certain sections of the state, beyond their famous, beautiful city, certain sections of the state. We have done, not only in New Orleans, we've done a really great job in Louisiana, but I was called. I want to be called. Chicago, we could solve the Chicago crime.
Well, on that question, which cities are you headed to next?
We have 5 cities that we're looking at very strongly, but we want to be invited. We will sometimes call the governors. And
are these cities like Chicago, Philadelphia? Are these the cities?
We could straighten out the crime in Chicago. We've already brought it down 25% just by being there. We could have Chicago be a safe city, just like DC is a safe city, just like all of these places that we've gone to. And I look forward. You know, I didn't campaign on that. I campaigned on law and order, but I didn't think I'd be going into individual cities and making them safe.
Anything else you can tell us about the 5 cities? The 5 cities, anything else? So Americans are ready?
We'll be announcing them very quickly, but we could do something. As an example, I was called by people. San Francisco said, please, we have a Democrat mayor. He's trying very hard. Would you, friends of mine that live there, it's got crime problems. Would you let him do the job and not come in? Let's see how it works. I said, look, I can do it much quicker, much faster. Don't forget, we remove criminals. We took over 2,000 hardcore criminals out of Washington, D.C. If we didn't do that, 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. Think of that, 2%. So you have a criminal, because it's over and over again, 2% create 90% of the crime. We took out 2,000 people, more than 2,000 people out of Washington, D.C., and we now have a safe city.
You, as I mentioned, you've had success on immigration. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said
But if you look at
Tom, what you just said.
It's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting. Now give me the second part.
Now let me give you the second part of the question. But, but if you look at the polls, most Americans say they don't like how you've handled immigration, right? Especially what's happened in Minneapolis. How do you change their minds?
Well, I don't believe the polls, for one thing, because how can you not I saw a poll in the border where I'm at 55%, okay?
The polls show that Americans aren't against the deportations. It's the handling of immigration.
You know, polls, it depends on the way you ask the question. I saw a poll on the border, I'm at 55%. Well, how can I only be at 55% when everybody agrees that the border is totally, beautifully closed and nobody's coming in unless they come in legally, et cetera. It couldn't be better. I should be at 100%. I don't believe the polls. And some polls, I mean, I could show you polls where I'm polling at 69% popularity, and some polls where I have one at
we will ask the White House to share that with us.
71%. And then I have polls where I'm at 44% and 42%. The polls are almost dishonest, almost as dishonest as some of the reporters themselves. But I'm getting very good polls. I'm getting very good polls on crime prevention, on law and order, and on the border. I have to. And I'm starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think is
the polls on the economy they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be. So why aren't they? If you believe that,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
Americans tell us, we hear this. I mean, we're going to get into the economy later, but I mean, they tell us they don't feel it.
Just understand. I have $18 trillion being invested into the country. Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years, and the whole country was going to credit. You know,
when does America feel it?
Do you know that if they won that election, and we won in a landslide, do you know if they won that election, this country I think it was finished. I actually think it was finished. You would have had people, instead of 18 coming in, 18 trillion, you would have had $10 trillion leaving. I think our country, I think we would have been Venezuela on steroids.
I have a question about immigration still looking forward now. Your goal during the election was to deport everyone who came here illegally under President Biden. Is your mission now to deport everyone who came in illegally, or just people who have come in illegally who have also committed additional crimes?
We are totally focused on criminals, really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We've brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again.
Yeah.
Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in, and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We're after by the way, a big problem, they allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous. We're getting them out.
Joe Rogan was one of your biggest endorsers in 2024. He said he understands that the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success before the election. I think it was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it. You know, she decided not to do it because she's not capable. But I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation. And all I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this, the ICE enforcement?
Yeah. Just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy, and I think he likes me too.
Yeah.
And, you know, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public relations.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing. Look, we have the safest country.
Is that your staff, or those your staff?
Excuse me, people from your persuasion, somewhat left, do a job on numbers. It just came out that in 125 years, we have the safest country. The best crime numbers since the year 1900.
Yeah. That's a stat. Yeah, we know
that
it's true.
Way before my father was born.
Right.
Think of that. And yet, then you talk about crime, or you talk about this, or you talk about that, and the poll numbers aren't that good. People, we don't do a good public relations job. That's why I'm doing the interview with you today.
We appreciate
I'm trying to help my people. You know, PR, public relations.
Speaking of your people, you're never afraid to shake up your team. You've said that you're okay with shaking up your team. Do you still believe in Kristi Noem to deliver on your vision of immigration?
Look, she was in charge of the border. The border's closed. I mean, everybody gives me A+ on the border. The border was a disaster. People were pouring into our country.
But what about the enforcement?
They don't even try and come up now. You know the beautiful thing? The caravans. I think I came up with that name. Thousands of people, 25, 30,000 people in a group. You know who sent them? Their countries. They sent the people that they didn't want. Not only criminals, people that didn't want to work hard, etc. They know who it is. They sent them into our country. We have nobody coming in anymore. We have very good. You just asked me, Kristi, we have the best crime numbers that we've had in 125 years. I think she's doing a very good job. Again, public relations. She's not getting credit for the job that she does.
Let's move to the economy now.
And excuse me, what is sad though, and it is, we had the two primary incidents in Minnesota. So,
and you shook up leadership there. You brought Tom Homan in.
Yeah, I did. And Tom is great. Tom is a superstar. But you do thousands of arrests. You arrest thousands of rapists. You arrest thousands of the worst people. You arrest the drug dealers. I mean, we had drug kingpins. We had murderers. Thousands. No incident. We bring them back to their country. Two people. It's bad. I hate it. I hate even talking about it. Two people out of tens of thousands, okay? And you get bad publicity. Nobody talks about all of the murderers that were taken out of our country. They don't talk about...
but it was two Americans.
They don't talk about, we have the smallest trucks. As an example, we've been very tough on the waters, and soon, you know, pretty much overall. But if you look at the waters where we knock out boats, each boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. We're doing a job like nobody's ever seen before. I just got off the phone with President Xi, and he is amazed at how well the United States is doing. He said he's never seen anything like it.
You brought the conversation, Mr. President, so let me ask you, what did you talk about with the leader of China?
About a lot of topics. We talked
What's
about
the most
so much.
important topic? Is it chips? Is it the wars in Ukraine? What is going on?
I would say the economy, the relationship that we have with China. I'm going to be going there in April. Then he's coming here toward the end of the year.
Coming to the White House?
He's coming to the White House, toward the end of the year. We have a very good relationship. And, you know, it's important that I have a good relationship, and for him that he has a good relationship with me. We have to have a good, these are the two most powerful countries in the world, and we have a very good relationship.
You talk about tariffs?
We spoke for an hour.
Does he ask you about the tariffs? Is he saying this
well,
is
they're
hurting
paying
us?
a lot of tariffs, as you know. China's paying a lot of tariffs. In the past, they didn't. I'm the one that put tariffs on China. I put tariffs on a lot of tariffs, or just so you understand, making our country rich. Our country has taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, really trillions, because the threat of tariffs is getting all of these countries to lose to us.
Yeah.
And by the way, they've been doing it to us for 40 years. And now, but I'm doing it very judiciously, very fairly. But tariffs are bringing in tremendous amounts of money. I just gave $12 billion to our farmers because they were mistreated by certain countries.
Yeah.
Tariff money. We're taking in hundreds of billions.
No, and I want to ask you about that. I
dollars.
want to get into that. Talking about the economy, you've brought a lot of prices down, as we said. Some are still stubborn.
Very few.
But when you, very few. I get it. I get it.
Very
Yeah.
few.
When you talk to Americans, though, do you have to get them to understand that the prices are not going to come back down to your first term because we had a pandemic and we had record inflation? Are people's expectations too high, or is it just too expensive to live in America?
I just, again, don't think we're selling it properly. We've done a great job.
But it's expensive out there.
You saw gasoline this last week at $1.99 a gallon. It used to be, it was $4.50, $5 a gallon. $1.99 a gallon gasoline. I think we've really bring it. I mean, I don't expect them to be much higher. Now, there's a natural inflation.
But they're never going to go
this,
down to that first term.
I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. It was through the roof. Now, you will say it wasn't in history, it was 48 years. You know, there's a theory that was, I say it was the worst. But whether it's 48 years, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have almost no inflation. Think of it. You know what it was for the last 3 months? 1.2%. You know what it was under Biden? You can't count that high.
Yeah.
I inherited the worst inflation. I inherited the worst crime. I inherited high prices. So when I inherited
inflation is down 2.7 right now, but it is down.
No.
Yeah.
For the last three, don't forget, I've inherited this mess.
Right.
For the last 3 months, it's at 1.2%. You know that?
Yeah. But the last
3 months.
You floated the idea of $2,000 rebate checks for Americans from tariff revenue. Who's going to get that, and when is that going to happen?
We'd make it. I'm looking at it very seriously. I'm the only one who can do it because I'm taking in hundreds of billions of dollars of money.
But you can promise some Americans will get those checks.
Oh yeah, sure. I can do that. I haven't made the commitment yet, but I may make the commitment.
So it's not.
Well, I just
deal.
gave 1776, right?
Yeah.
To the military. Right, $1,776.
But you said all.
You know, it was
Americans
$1,775. They presented it to me because that's what we have in a budget that I created because I want to take care of our military. Nobody takes care of the military like I do.
Yeah.
So $1,775. And I said, wait a minute, if you had $1, it's $1,776. You know, that's quite a famous state.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So anyway, wait, so I gave $1,776 to our military, and they are very thankful.
Let's get to the Fed.
And now I may be doing that with regard to the entire population.
Okay. Let's get to the Fed. Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
Not much.
Why? How can you say that?
I just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your new Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich country again. We have debt, but we also have growth. And the growth will soon make the debt look very small. Because it's the greatest way, you have two ways. You can cut, and we do that anyway, and we did that. You know, we got rid of hundreds of thousands of federal workers.
Yeah.
And those workers went out and got themselves jobs in the free enterprise system. And you know what? That's called making America great again. We had 10 workers in the federal government for every single job. When the Democrats go in, they hire. I could right now give you the best employment numbers in history. You know what I do? Go out and hire 2 million people, put them in the federal government.
Does your new Fed
I do the opposite.
Yeah. Does your new Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I mean, if he came in and said, I want to raise them,
If he said that, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
he would not have gotten the job, no.
Okay.
No.
Do
If
you
I
believe-
thought he was a interest rate, now there'll be times if I see inflation on the horizon, but we don't have that. We have low inflation. Remember,
Yeah.
1.2% inflation in the last 3
Yeah.
months. We have low inflation and we have tremendous growth. You haven't had these numbers like
Right.
this. We have, think of it, low inflation, great growth. Now,
Yeah.
all I have to do is one thing, easy, get down the interest rate.
Do you think the Fed chair answers to you or is an independent body?
Well, I mean, in theory, it's an independent body, but I think, I'm a smart guy. I know the economy better than almost everybody.
So
they
he
did
answers
that,
to you.
They did that prediction chart a year ago, and they had 71 great economists and me making the predictions. And, only 2 people were right, me and one other guy who is a very smart professor from a certain school that I went to,
Yeah.
very good school.
Yeah.
And the 2 of us were right. Everybody else was wrong.
There's been bipartisan suggestions that the criminal investigation to the current Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is payback, right? For not lowering interest rates, but also for when he was in that sort of news conference with you with the hard hats and he was shaking his head and showing you the papers and disagreeing with you in public. Is that why he's under criminal investigation?
He was very respectful to me. He wasn't just, he was explaining to me.
Yeah.
I'm asking him, why are you spending almost $4 billion on a very small little complex of buildings? It's the highest price per square foot. He's renovating buildings for $3 to $4 billion. And this Fed chair that I have I think is going to be great. He might not have a home because this guy has spent so much money. And I looked, it's a see-through. There's nothing inside. They are spending money. He's in charge of the project.
Yeah.
This is the Federal Reserve building I'm talking about. It's a very small little, it's actually a couple of little buildings. They're spending more money than any building ever built in history per square foot.
Some Republican senators say they're not going to approve him unless you drop that investigation.
A lot of people say a lot of things.
You don't think that's true? You think,
I don't know.
is it worth it to drop the investigation to get your Fed chair through?
I think the investigation is the investigation. It's being handled by Pam and Janine and the people. They'll make their own decision on it.
Yeah. Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used?
But I do say this
Yes.
about, you can't let a man spend billions of dollars doing a bill. I would have done that job for $25 million and it would have been done much better.
Right.
They're spending billions of dollars on a renovation of a little complex.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used ChatGPT or Claude?
I haven't really, but I know all about it. Let me just talk about AI.
Yeah.
AI is a big deal. AI is going to be maybe the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, bigger than anything else. We are leading China by a lot. We are leading everybody by a lot. They're all building their factories here. And you know what I did for the electric? Because they need twice the electric as we currently produce for the whole country, which is crazy. Nobody can do that. But so what I did is I came up with a concept. Each building that is built is going to generate their own electricity. They're going to build their own electric plant. We are building numbers of AI. And by the way, also auto plants, everything.
Right.
We're building everything. But do you know, I just left Michigan. I was with Ford. They were going to close this building that was built in the early 1900s, one of the biggest factories. They were going to close it. It was scheduled to close prior to my election. After I won the election, they said, let's try keeping it open. They just went to 3 shifts. It's 24 hours a day. And the head of Ford, Mr. Ford, said it's the most incredible auto comeback I've ever seen.
Mr. President, let me ask you, there's no doubt you are the president who's ushering in the AI revolution, but this is happening on your watch. If AI affects humanity in a negative way, is that on you? Because some of these CEOs of AI companies say, we need guardrails. This could get out of control. Does that worry you?
Everything's on me as president. Everything's on me. I can say this, it'll be the greatest jobs producer. It'll be the greatest military producer. It'll be the greatest medical producer. There'll be tremendous good. And there'll be probably some bad too.
Well, it's killing a lot of jobs. And what do you say to Americans who are going to lose their jobs to AI?
It's going to create a lot of jobs.
But right now, it's taking jobs in a lot of ways. It's taking jobs from companies like Amazon. What would you say to those Americans?
But it hasn't really started. You know, these major plants haven't even been built. what you're going
No,
to
no, but Mr. President, AI has already started to take jobs because the
okay, you
technology
ready?
is there.
So we
Yeah.
have, it's just announced, more jobs right now occupied in the United States of America that at any time during its existence, 250 years, there are more people working today than at any time in the history of our country. Pretty good stat. That kills that question.
Yeah, we have to look it up.
That's a good answer. That kills that question.
Mr. President, there's widespread concern that AI is going to wipe out a lot of jobs, manufacturing jobs.
They said the internet was going to do, everything was going to do, robots are going to kill jobs, everything's going to kill jobs, and you end up, if you're smart, doing great.
Okay, you are close with the Ellisons, who are trying to stop a merger between Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix. This deal could change the makeup of the media as we know it. Are you personally going to get involved in that deal?
I haven't been involved. I must say, I guess I'm considered to be a very strong president. I've been called by both sides. It's the two sides. But I've decided I shouldn't be involved. The Justice Department will handle it.
Okay. In what way? Just looking at it to see if it's
they're going
regular?
to make a decision. I mean, there's a theory that one of the companies is too big and it shouldn't be allowed to do it. And the other company is saying something else about, they're knocking
But you're not going to interfere, even though you're close with the
beating the hell out of
Ellisons.
each other, and there'll be a winner.
Okay, let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national, I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty more too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no, there's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states, won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to read.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. The cheating that took place in Fulton
what are
County
they looking for?
and in that particular
nobody knows
state.
what's in the warrant. What are they looking for?
Find out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots? I guess, right?
Yeah.
Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years. And now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by
but nobody knows what
a
the evidence is.
respected but liberal judge signed a court order allowing them to go in and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know, a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China
You put this on
let me ask
True
you,
Social.
do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore,
But
she's foreign government.
But you tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will read truth.
Yeah.
I will read truth.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia, they talked about Russia, it turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden. It wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections.
Yeah.
There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state.
Yeah.
And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was, but if there was cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Mr. President, I have a few more important questions
Yeah.
for you. That's okay with you. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, they've all been important.
Let's go to, there's a new lawsuit by you and your family that you're suing the IRS for $10.5 billion for leaking your tax documents.
Yeah.
Is this a good use of taxpayer money?
You can't leak documents. And any money that I win, I'll give it to charity, 100% to charity. Charities that will be approved by government or whatever. I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
And I've won that case. I mean, they broke in, the FBI illegally, Biden and his group. It wasn't Biden. He didn't know what he was doing. It was a group of very smart radical left people. They're very smart. They've lost their way.
Right.
And they broke into Mar-a-Lago. They broke into my home. They went through
Well, they had warrants.
my wife's drawers.
Yeah.
They went through, that's a double meaning. They went through Barron's, my son's, everything. They went through the whole house. Hundreds of people. They went in with guns. They went in, guns.
How would
would
this
have been
work?
ablazing.
So how would this
wait,
work?
wait. I brought a lawsuit. Essentially, the lawsuit's been won. I guess I won a lot of money.
How would this work, though? Scott Bessent's the head of the IRS.
What I would
Pam
do-
Bondi's the head of the Justice Department. They're going to defend the IRS against you.
I
You're
know,
their boss.
well, there's never been anything like it, in all fairness.
So are you going to tell them to pay you?
Don't forget, I sued as a private citizen because I sued between terms. I won
But are you
3
gonna tell them to
times.
pay you?
I won 3 times, but I didn't assume, unfortunately for this country, I didn't assume office the second time. But here's the story. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. That was before I became president. Now it goes along, and it turned out that the suit is a very strong suit.
You're going to tell them to pay you, though? 'Cause you're the boss.
Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't want any of the money.
You take it out of the system. A couple more questions here.
No, I'm putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
If I give money to American Cancer Society, I will give 100% of the money away to charity. I don't want any of it.
$30 trillion debt, and we're going to take $10 billion out of the system?
Well, I mean, you give it away anyway. They give away a lot of money.
Your endorsement
I'll
is
tell
the
you what, speaking about that, Minnesota and these other states, we have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured 50% of the fraud of this country right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we know about.
Your endorsement is the most important thing in the Republican primary.
No, in any primary.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, I have 2 people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic and Marco is fantastic.
How are they
both
different?
doing a
How are they
great
different?
job. And I do think this, it's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other. I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say in the age of Trump, you never know.
Yeah. On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason. Make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before. We're a rich nation. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from nations that took advantage of us. They thought we were stupid. They thought we were fools. They laughed at us. You know, people were laughing at us 1.5 years ago. They laughed at this country. They're not laughing anymore. They respect us. And I get along with them. They respect us.
Mr. President, I have pages and pages of questions, but they're telling me my time is up. I thank you for your time.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you.
That concludes the sit-down portion of our interview with the president. Right after this break, we'll show you our walk and talk inside the Oval Office, where we discussed Iran, the Clintons, and President's own health. Stay with us.
Not for me, but for the country. Because if I do a great job, that means the country is doing well.
You're building the new ballroom. We hear about this new arch you're building, the Garden of Heroes as well. You're building a lot of things that are going to cement your legacy. Are you also doing this so the country never forgets you?
No, I think we need glamour brought back to our country. We need prestige. We need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything else, we need strength. We need all of those things. Like I'm doing an arc, a triumphal, they call it a triumphal arc. 57 cities have arcs.
Yeah.
We're the only major important city. Washington, D.C. should have maybe the first arc. Yeah. We're doing one that will be more magnificent and larger than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I would say the Paris arc is probably the most stunning. It's incredible. We're going to do one that's going to top it.
Is it true it's going to be 250 feet to mark the anniversary?
It'll be about that, yeah. It'll be a little bit taller than the one in Paris. It'll be a little bit larger than the one in Paris.
You're doing a lot of things for the 250th anniversary. Yeah. What do you want Americans to feel this July 4th?
Strength, victory, security. You have a secure country. We've done so much militarily. We have a great military. I mean, you saw Venezuela. That was the people, the general that was in charge, he lived. He said he's never seen anything like it. They were all ready.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator.
What discombobulator? Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you, you know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was...
How does it...
It was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was, you know, practically a shot wasn't, you know, they were ready.
Right.
And when we came,
I mean,
they couldn't do anything.
You saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's put it this way. We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters, great fighters. In a very bad environment, it was a military base, the biggest in South America. In a very, because the house was in a base in in a very, very tough environment, we lost no men and we lost no equipment.
The discombobulator just knocked everything.
Well, it did something.
It did something. Did Delcy Rodriguez work with you guys before that raid?
I can't talk about that. I mean, I don't talk about.
Do you trust her?
Well, so far she's done a great job. I mean, so far she and all of the people that are working with her. Remember in Iraq, they got rid of everybody. They had no generals, they had no people, they had nobody to run the government. Turned out to be a mess, and that's where ISIS came from. You know, that's where ISIS came from. Came from the military and all the people. They formed ISIS. It was handled very badly, but this is handled very well.
Do you think the Cuban government will still be there? The current leadership will still be there by the end of your term?
Well, Cuba, now you're asking a different question. Cuba's in big trouble. Humanitarian aid is going to have to be sent there. They're in big trouble.
It's a disaster.
They got their money from Venezuela. They got their oil from Venezuela. They turned the oil into money, et cetera, and there's none of that happening anymore. They're in big trouble.
Do you think that government is still there, though? Do you think that government lasts?
I don't want to say that, but we are talking to Cuba.
You're talking to Cuba.
You know what? Look, we have tens of thousands of people that were forced out there here. They voted for me, 94% Cuban population, previous Cuban population. Now they're Cuban Americans. Maybe they go back. Maybe they want to go back. They're going to have that choice. But for years, they've been talking about this happening. Now it's happening. We are talking to Cuba. We want to open it up to those people that want to visit. Even, you know, I think most people, when they hear they want to stay here, I hope that's true. I hope we're not going to lose them. But they're going to have options, and they're going to be able to go back, Tom, and see their loved ones, see their family, their friends.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah, he should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, you know, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear.
So
if I didn't take out, you know, we have peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it. If we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very, very afraid of Iran.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of Iran anymore. We wiped out those beautiful B-2 bombers, one's right over there, those beautiful little model. Those beautiful B-2 bombers went in and they hit their target, every single bomb, and obliterated it. And because of that, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 1 month.
Yeah.
Within 1 month, they were going to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
That was a big threat. That they're not going to have it anymore.
But
Now,
if we obliterate
Iran is-
what's the deal about? I mean, if there's no more, are they trying to restart the nuclear
Well,
program?
I heard that they are, and if they do, and I let them know, if they do, we're going to send them right back and do their job again.
So your understanding is they tried to restart it, and that's why you're threatening force.
They tried to go back to the site. They weren't even able to get near it. There was total obliteration. But they were thinking about starting a new site in a different part of the country. We found out about it. I said, you do that, we're going to do very bad things to you.
Yeah. Mr. President, the ballroom over here, I want you to show it to me, because the thing you said that stood out to me, it's going to be massive, but it's got a drone-proof ceiling and it's got bulletproof windows. What does that mean?
Bulletproof windows, because, well, we're in a different time. You know, if somebody's up making a speech, we're going to have the inauguration there. We're going to probably have, I would say, definitely it's going to be large enough, but we have drone-proof ceilings.
What does that mean? What is
that? Means if a drone hits the ceiling, it bounces off. It doesn't blow up a building.
It's a fortress.
It's protection.
It's going to be a fortress.
Well, it's going to be very heavy steel.
Okay.
Very simple. It's heavy steel.
Because of that,
And by the way, the ballroom is so beautiful. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom of its kind, and it's very much in keeping with the White House.
You survived that assassination attempt that we all covered. It was terrible. 2 of them. Do you worry about your safety? I mean,
Yes.
you think about the ball. You do?
I worry about it, but you have to put it out of your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do your job.
You didn't think about it as much before. Now you think about it a lot.
Maybe it could be. I mean, you look statistically, I'm in a very dangerous job.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take a look at the walls, if you take a look, statistically, this is a much more dangerous job than being a race car driver or riding those Broncos. Those bulls are tough, right? But I wouldn't want to do that. But statistically, being president is the most dangerous job there is.
We first met 10 years ago when you were running the first time. How do you feel now as you approach 80?
I feel great. I mean, physically and mentally, I feel like I did 50 years ago. It's crazy. Now, there'll be a time when I won't be able to give you that answer, but that time hasn't come. I do. I think it's very important. I've done more physicals. I take physicals just to give the report out.
Yeah.
I take cognitive physicals. So I do a cognitive mind test, okay? And a lot of people wouldn't be able to do very well. Not easy. You get to those last questions. I've aced. I've done 3 of them. No other president has agreed to do them. I do them because I have no problem with it because I'm 100%. Now, there will be a time. Still taking the aspirin?
Still taking the aspirin?
I do. I take aspirin. And I don't want to change, I don't want to.
So you go against your doctor's orders. You do what you kind of feel.
I've been taking aspirin for 30 years, and I don't want to change it. So, they say take the smaller one. I say, well, I want that blood to be nice and thin running through my heart.
If at any point your age impacts your job, who's going to tell you that, or do you think you'll know yourself?
I think I'll know myself. Yeah. I think I'll know myself. I wouldn't do an interview with you, as an example.
Yeah.
Did Biden do an interview before Super Bowl? I'm not sure. Maybe he did.
Last one, you didn't.
I mean, he wasn't capable of doing an interview. And that was things. Look, I know people that are 95 years old that are sharp as a tack. Biden was a bad thing for old people. He's the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he obviously didn't have it. And one of the things that's so depressing about the press is the press refused to report the obvious. And he did have very smart people around him, but they had a radical left culture, and they were very bad for this country. This country would not have survived 2 more years if one of them got elected.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to speak about the DOJ. I appreciate all your time and of your staff's time. They've been very, very kind.
Yeah.
Should anybody else expect the DOJ to kind of come after them like you've come over after some of your political enemies?
You remember this time.
Yeah.
I was impeached twice, 2 fake impeachments, won both of them easily. Republicans stood by me 100%, but I won both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was indicted 87 different times. And then you asked me that question.
Yeah.
So I think I'm extremely moderate, especially for what they did to me. They wanted to take me down. I said to somebody, do me a favor. add up the counts. If I lost, I won. But if I lost these cases, add up the counts and tell me how long would I have to serve in prison? You know what they came up with? 287 years. I said, I better win.
In your mind, that calculation means it's okay for the DOJ to go after your political enemies?
No, it isn't. And I could be involved. I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. I could be involved, but I'm not. I don't choose to. But when they say to me, oh, you're going after people, I got indicted all of those times. It's 287 years in jail they were willing to put. They asked me a question yesterday at the press conference about Clinton because of the testimony, the Epstein thing, which turned out that I have nothing to do, and they did, about Epstein. And they said, do you think it's terrible with the subpoenas and everything, and they're disobeying the subpoenas? And I actually said, it's a shame. You have an ex-president, and you have, the president's wife and Secretary of State. And I said, it's a shame. It is a shame.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. Many, many times. They didn't do that to Clinton.
Do you think if the Democrats win in the midterms, at least one House of Congress, they're going to try to impeach you?
Well, I've done a great job as president. They say I've had the best first year of any president in history, and I think I have. If you look, I settled 8 wars, biggest tax cuts ever. Right now, we have more under construction with the factories, the car plant. They're all moving back into the country. They were stolen from us over a 40-year period. They're all coming back from Germany, from Canada, from Mexico, from Japan. I think I had the greatest first year that we've
But you think they may come after you again?
Well, they'll find something. Like I did an interview with you, and because I did the interview, let's impeach him or something.
Anything out there that Americans are going to be surprised about that you're going?
Yeah, I'll tell you, they shouldn't do it. And that's one of the things. I didn't do it for that reason, but it bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. He was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump when there were 18 people. It was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him. He said, Hillary, you know it, and I know it. Don't run against Trump.
Yeah.
And they ran against Trump. It didn't work out too well, did it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank you for your time. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good time.
Նպատակներով օգտագործման ոլորտում Հայաստանի Հանրապետության կառավարության եւ Ամերիկայի Միացյալ Նահանգների կառավարության միջև համագործակցության մասին համաձայնագրի բանակցությունների ավարտի վերաբերյալ համատեղ հայտարարությունը։ Հայկական կողմից հայտարարությունը ստորագրում է Հայաստանի Հանրապետության վարչապետ Նիկոլ Փաշինյանը։ Ամերիկյան կողմից հայտարարությունը ստորագրում է ԱՄՆ փոխնախագահ J.D. Vance-ը։ Joint statement on the completion of negotiation on an agreement for peaceful nuclear cooperation between the United States of America and the Republic of Armenia is being signed. From the Armenian side, the statement is being signed by His Excellency Mr. Nikol Pashinyan, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia. From the American side, the statement is being signed by the Honorable J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States. այժմ տեղի կունենա մամուլի համատեղ հայտարարությունը. A joint press statement will now take place.
Honorable Vice President J.D. Vance, esteemed members of the U.S. delegation, dear colleagues, it is a great honor to host today the Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance, and his delegation, who are on an official visit to Armenia. This visit is of truly historic and symbolic importance. This is the first visit by a U.S. Vice President to the Republic of Armenia. It takes place in the context of unprecedented realities of establishing peace and stability in the South Caucasus. It reflects the depth of the strong and strategic partnership forged between the Republic of Armenia and the United States of America. Dear Mr. Vice President, our first meeting at the White House on February 7, 2025 had great importance.
The market. SpaceX is acquiring XAI. This values the combined company at about $1.25 trillion, putting it on track to become the most valuable private company in the world. Elon also planning to bring the combined entity to the public market later this year. Madison Alworth has been following this deal very closely. Madison, it is very fascinating what he is doing here.
Absolutely, Cheryl. It really unlocks a lot for Musk and the really ambitious goals that he has, because this company portfolio now includes rockets, XAI's Grok chatbot, and the social media platform X. It's really helping him to push and to finance his costly ambitions to not only dominate artificial intelligence, but also space exploration. Musk is all in on AI and data centers in space. He believes it's the only way to meet the energy and space demands of our AI race. In the announcement, he writes, "This marks not just the next chapter, but the next book in SpaceX and XAI's mission, scaling to make a sentient sun, to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars." Musk anticipates his rocket program will explode in the future. Putting it in context, in 2025, SpaceX launched a record-breaking 165 rockets. But Musk says that will need to be ramped up if we're going to put data centers in space. He anticipates that we will have launches in the future every single hour. His vision, self-growing bases on the moon, an entire civilization on Mars, and ultimately expansion to the universe. But Americans say, whoa, 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 not so fast, Elon. New Fox polling that we just got in shows 6 in 10 registered voters think that the use of AI technology is happening too fast. And their confidence in the government's ability to properly regulate it continues to go down. But these AI companies, they are not slowing down. XAI, Anthropic, and OpenAI are all racing for IPOs, which we could see this year. Cheryl?
Yeah, a lot of the pipeline and a good regulatory environment as well, Madison. Madison Alworth, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Well, SpaceX and XAI CEO Elon Musk's move to merge these two businesses could leave early investors with a huge payout should he execute a successful mega IPO. That includes employees with company equity. Professional Capital Management CEO Anthony Pompliano posting on X yesterday, "Imagine going to work at X and watching your equity value disappear into thin air. Only end up with pre-IPO SpaceX stock on the doorstep to the largest IPO in history." Wild. Let's bring in Anthony Pompliano right now to Fox Biz Exclusive. And, Madison kind of touched on this, but, this is the guy he's rescuing astronauts from the space station. This is the guy that brought us self-driving technology and the vehicles to the forefront. He wants to basically data centers in space. I wanted to get your take on that. She mentioned it. I mean, these are pretty big, pretty lofty dreams. I never say doubt Elon Musk. I don't doubt him. But is it plausible in your opinion?
Well, I think, first of all, never ever bet against Elon Musk. He's the greatest entrepreneur of our generation. The man has averaged the creation of a multi-billion-dollar company every 5 years for over 30 years. There's no one in history who has ever done this before. The second thing is that a huge reason why he is so competitive in the marketplace is because he is willing to take an enormous amount of risk and go after very ambitious things. Building data centers in space sounds crazy until you realize that he has already launched thousands of satellites. He's already built a reusable rocket. Putting the data centers in space may actually be a much less hard task to do than the things that he's already done. And so I definitely think that he's going to pull this off.
I had to laugh when you posted GameStop is going to look tame compared to the Elon meme stock when he combines Tesla, SpaceX, and XAI. I had a feeling that that's got to be in his mind right now, that you combine Tesla into all of this and create this multi-conglomerate. I don't know if there's regulatory hurdles with that. I don't know if that's what he's thinking, but it seems to be his plan.
Well, look, I think that what people want is they want to be able to take their hard-earned capital and they want to give it to people that they think are going to help them make money. And Elon Musk is probably the best person in the world at doing that. That's why people continue to give him capital, is because he's a very good steward of that capital. And he's able to multiply it. And so rather than him have so many different businesses, just put it all together. Let us bet on the man. Let us just give Elon the money and say, Elon, there are hard societal problems out there. We need you to solve them. Go and figure it out. And I think that you would see a line out the door of people who'd be willing to give him that money. And so by putting these companies together, I think that he will have quite a bit of interest.
Yeah, well, is this why you bought $1 million in Tesla stock?
Look, my portfolio at this point has a lot of assets in it that, yes, I want an economic return. I'm a capitalist. I would love for the portfolio to go up in value. But I also own assets that I am perfectly fine if they go to zero, because I think that they're good for humanity. I own Bitcoin, which I think defends the erosion of purchasing power. I own Open Door because I think having people in America actually have homes is a good idea. And I'm betting on Elon. I think that Elon is bringing back ambition. He's an inspiration to a lot of young people. And I hope that he's successful. And so I think Tesla's going to be a big winner in the future. But if not, that's okay with me too.
We're showing Bitcoin. Just want to, look, I mean, we went under 75,000. We're not sitting there right now, but we did. And, when you've got people, and I believe you're in this camp as well, that have made these calls for 200, 250,000, 300,000 on Bitcoin. Is there anything that makes you nervous right now about the move that we've seen out of Bitcoin?
If you loved Bitcoin at 126,000, you should be dying over it being only at 75,000. Nothing has changed about this asset. It is the exact same thing that it was at $100, $1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. I think that this is the normal volatility. And now what is unique about this market is this is the first time that a lot of the Wall Street investors are getting on the Bitcoin roller coaster. And so a 40% drawdown, frankly, that is still a drawdown for ants compared to past drawdowns of 80%. And I think that Wall Street is just not used to that. If you go back over the last decade, Bitcoin has dropped the same as the global financial crisis in the public equity market, 50%. Bitcoin is averaging a 50% drawdown every 18 months for a decade. Bitcoin investors are not worried about this. The Wall Street guys, though, it's their first experience, so they're figuring it out.
Well, and they would say this is a crowded trade if they were on the program to that crowd that you're talking about, to be clear. But I want to ask you about this. You have.
I'm going to be honest. I am not a huge fan of Bitcoin. And second, I never did comment on Trump's comments on Bill Clinton. I thought those were really weird to me. He's always praised the Clintons. He always ran on locking them up, but he has always praised the Clintons. Now, Maxwell was in court today, and this is what happened. We're just going to go to that because this is a boring topic. I'm not going to lie. Let's go.
The Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, has emerged from that hearing and informed all of us that Ghislaine Maxwell has decided to take the Fifth Amendment and refuse to answer any questions. Listen to what he's saying.
Ready? As expected, Ghislaine Maxwell took the Fifth and refused to answer any questions. This obviously is very disappointing. We had many questions to ask about the crimes she and Epstein committed, as well as questions about potential co-conspirators. We sincerely want to get to the truth of the American people and justice for the survivors. That's what this investigation is about. I want to mention the next steps. We can confirm we have 5 more depositions in the book scheduled for the Epstein investigation. On February 18th, Lex Wexner, who is a financial client of Epstein and I believe the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. February 26th, we have former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. February 27th, former President Bill Clinton. March 11th, Richard Kahn, Epstein's accountant. And March 19th, Darren Endike, Epstein's lawyer. So we will continue to move forward and try to get answers for the American people.
Do you think the Britain's royal family has questions to answer to your committee?
Well, we would love to hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add, Andy?
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. And that's one thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
But is Elaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent?
What's that?
Was Elaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent today?
Well, I have no idea.
Is that your suspicion?
How would I have no idea. I mean, she was given an opportunity. We would have brought her in months ago, but she's indicated she was going to plead the fifth. And unfortunately, she had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation. And she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights.
Said about President Trump and Clinton, and do you think that there's anything more to do with Elaine Maxwell now that she's left the fifth?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Just to be clear, what her attorney said, Maxwell didn't say. Her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about Clinton and
but he went on to expand that. The other thing is he pointed out a number of times that she has a habeas corpus petition pending for a new trial and release, and that's why she is not going to answer questions.
I know that those conversations are ongoing. They would like them to be public. Is your understanding still that we're looking at those same February dates and they're going to be private?
Yeah, that's what they agreed to, and they will be public, just like this will be public hopefully very soon. We've released every transcript and every video and audio of every deposition we've done since I've been chairman of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, does the committee have any plans to subpoena Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick given the revelations?
We're going to try to get these 5 nailed down. We've got a lot of very important people we're trying to bring in to answer questions. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize the 5 that we have on the book. So we'll see what happens here, and we'll move forward. We're interested in talking to anyone that might have any information that would help us get justice for the survivors. Yes.
Sure, thank you. On the disagreement with the Clintons about closed door videotape testimony versus public hearing, are you concerned this will be enough to restart contempt proceedings, or do you think you'll come to a resolution?
I mean, they said they agreed to a standard deposition. That's what a standard deposition is. Every time I've come out here for a press gaggle with you all, we've had a standard deposition. So this is how depositions work, and it will be made public. So they want a public deposition. This is what they're going to get.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you about Elon Omar for a moment?
Can I ask you a question?
Mr. Chairman, your investigation.
Chad.
Your investigation about Elon Omar. Why are you targeting her when there is a Elon Omar? Your committee investigation with Elon Omar, when there's a process in the House, if people have questions about their conduct, this would go through the ethics committee. Why is this?
And I've spoken. I'm glad you asked that question. I've spoken with the ethics committee. The ethics committee has jurisdiction over members of Congress. The 2 businesses in question are owned by Ms. Omar's husband. So the ethics committee does not have jurisdiction over a spouse, only a member. So that's why we just asked. We would have questions. I don't think anyone would.
Pertain to her overall finances, because the That is listed on her financial disclosure report. Even though
Well,
that's her spouse.
we've run this by the ethics committee and we think this is the appropriate route. So, and we'll do one more question. Yes.
Yes, just going back to the Clinton deposition, sorry for space. I understand that you're going to release the transcripts, you'll release the video. Why is there reticence to just have it be public since the Clintons, look, they are not your typical people being deposed?
When you say public, what do you mean? I mean, it's going to be the video and we'll release it. The public will see every second of the deposition. I think they're trying to muddy the, what's that?
But not at the time that it happened. So
What, a few seconds later? I mean, I think the Clintons are trying to muddy the waters and create a false narrative like, oh, depositions behind closed doors. That deposition was behind closed doors, but you had at least 10 members of Congress in there, and you'll have the video, I hope, very soon. Yes. Go ahead. All right.
Ghislaine Maxwell, we know from the Epstein files, didn't tell the truth. She got moved to an open prison. Now she's asking for clemency to speak at all. Was it a mistake to move her to that prison? Should she be moved back?
I don't know the rationale for moving her from one prison to the other, but look, initially she had asked that the oversight committee grant immunity, and when we met with the survivors of Epstein, it was pretty clear, according to the survivors, and you know, we had 20 some members in that meeting, that Maxwell was a very bad person, and she committed a lot of crimes. And it was the intent, in my opinion, when we left that meeting in a bipartisan manner, that we would not grant immunity. Now, what she said today, she's asked for clemency from the president. So I personally, for the reasons you just stated, don't think she should be granted any type of immunity or clemency. But we'll obviously, you know, as more documents are read and understood, then we'll go from there. But I'll close with this. I think it's great that the Department of Justice has let members of Congress come in and look at all the unredacted versions of the documents. Attorney General Bondi is doing what she was supposed to do via our subpoena first on the House Oversight Committee, as well as the Epstein Transparency Act. So I think we're finally going to get some answers, and hopefully at the end of the day, we can do what our objective is in this hearing, provide justice for the survivors. So thank you.
All right, so there you have the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, explaining what's going on right now. Ghislaine Maxwell pleading the fifth, refusing to answer questions before his committee.
That's right. And he.
Oh, wow. I didn't have it muted. That's why that wasn't working. That's why it was so bad.
Saying that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. So that's from Ghislaine's attorney, but Ghislaine herself.
I'll try this.
The fifth. And he was asked about the fact that
Ghislaine
Maxwell was moved by this
I messed that one up.
minimum security prison. And of course, she's asking for clemency from President Trump to speak to the committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ghislaine Maxwell is a monster. She facilitated, aided, and abetted Epstein's crimes, engaged in those crimes. She was the enforcer who threatened the victims and the survivors of those crimes. And today we looked into the eyes of that monster in the deposition. What we did not get were any substantive answers to the questions that were asked that would advance our investigation, to help us learn who were the other men involved in these crimes, to help us learn who were the others who knew about these crimes, to help us learn what exactly was said between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell that led her to be transferred to a minimum security prison. What we did get was another episode in her long-running campaign for clemency from President Trump. And President Trump could end that today. He could rule out clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. He could rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. The question for all of us today is why hasn't he done that, and why won't he do that?
Is there a conspiracy of silence?
I'm going to turn it over to my colleague from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Suhas Subramanian.
An IQ of 85 to 115 is considered average in the U.S., and IQ of 100.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. I'll BS with you for a minute, but I'm going to end this, and I will replay this. I got to redo the algorithm. I totally screwed it up. But I do want to say these things. Maybe if it kicks back up, I'll keep going. But really, I do want to say these real fast, is that it was real weird what he said about Clinton. There's no way that we thought that Maxwell would actually testify. And as far as the Clintons go, I think it's going to be an entire crap show when they get up there. I think we have a nice little journey ahead of us when it comes to this stuff. I think we're going down a rabbit hole that's just endless. But I'm here to see what happens. You know, I'm definitely here to see what happens. Who do we got in the chat? Turbo, she should get a neck collar like Arnie had in Running Man. Yeah. They are not human. No, you were not muted. Yeah, I wasn't muted. And when I'm not muted, somehow like the reverb kicks in and it just completely messes up the show. So yeah, I believe it's going to be a giant show. I want to get the content that I do have out. I messed up the algorithm, so I'll either come back on and re-kick it or something or whatnot. But this is not my favorite topic, but it's necessary. It's necessary that we do, address some of it. Anything that's new or what's going on in the actual justice system. You know, I've got a video explaining what all the millions of pages. I've got a bunch of stuff, but I'm definitely not wasting my streaming hours on this. So no offense to anybody, but I messed up by putting that stupid JD Vance thing. Like JD Vance, I could understand nothing. That was like the halftime show. I was like, oh man, I just put on Bad Bunny and JD Vance trying to have a conversation over here. That was horrible. I apologize for that. I really do. I apologize for that one. That was my bad, y'all. That was my bad. Main thing is watching copyrights. Yeah. It wasn't even about the copyrights. Everything I got right now isn't about the copyright. It's about the topic itself. We're so divided on that topic because you've got multiple stages of people. You've got people that have been following this topic since, 2009, 2008. So that's like, it's like 16 to 18 years. And then you've got people who just picked up this story when Trump became president because of their disdain for Trump. So you've got stages of people when it comes to this topic. And a lot of people are just catching on. So my opinion, I love watching all these people who are like, show me it. Show me the files. Show me the files. Show me the files. Show me the files. And they're all getting blackpilled. All of them. You're all getting blackpilled. Whether you know it or not, your disdain, everything that we've ever talked about is showing up in your damn face. And you're acting like you're coming across information. And you know what? I don't care. I'm glad that you're getting blackpilled. I'm glad. Exactly. Different ages and different stages. And I understand that. Because I'll be having conversations with people like on Discord or something, and you could tell you're talking to someone who's 21 or 25 compared to someone who's 35 to 40 or up, who actually remembers the 2009 case, who actually remembers, Pizzagate or whatever you want to call it, who remembers all that stuff. A lot of these people came in too late. So you try to explain it to them, and they go back, and a lot of the information that we retained isn't there no more because they scrubbed the internet. So you've got to, a lot of it has to do with your brain and just remembering what's going on. So my thing is a lot of people need to listen instead of talk. And so that's why I don't like this conversation, because a lot of people want these instant answers and you're not going to get them. And I asked this to Billy yesterday, and I forget who else I asked this to. I said, look, if they were to somehow come out and absolutely give everybody, every single person on this list that we're talking about, right? We got everybody's name, everything. What I wanted to know in the chat, what's it going to do for you? Like, what are you going to do with that information? And what's it going to do to change your life today? And what's it going to do to stop anything from happening in the future that's actually going on in our country and in the world, which is which is the average people you don't even know are doing the same things that you're screaming for. So, and then the last part of it all is, how do you trust somebody that's giving you information about themselves? So you look at a supposed file that's given to you by the same politicians who are in the file. That just absolutely defeats the purpose. It just defeats the whole purpose of it all. So that's why I am not really in or big in to try to go down this rabbit hole with everybody, because you got to go down that journey on your own. You got to do it on your own. Can none of us teach you what happened in the last 20 years? You got to do that on your own. So that's why I have a hard time going down that rabbit hole with everybody, because I don't need, nor do I want to start from the very beginning. The very beginning. And we can't. It goes deeper than even the guy we're talking about. The Podesta, they don't even know. They don't know none of this stuff. And then I just remember going, hey, man, Bill Gates isn't that guy. He's a horrible human being. That was over a decade ago. And now you all are just now catching on. Here you go. You're finally catching on now. What a great guy he is, right? What a great guy. So does anybody get any credit for that? Are you going to go to your homeboy who told you Bill Gates was no good years ago and say, hey, my bad, bro. I was wrong. I defended that guy. But really, he is exactly what you thought. The politicians, the government, all the people they're exactly what we thought they were. Nothing's changed, dude. It's exactly what we thought. This is not changed. So it's very hard to want to get into this conversation. The changes already happened for my house a long time ago. I don't buy into it. I hear you, Tanya. There's nothing to buy into at this point. There's just really nothing to buy into at this point. Now it's to see, and this, if anybody were to well, the only thing we could do is try to hold these people accountable. But dude, these people that we need to hold accountable we've already known about them for a long time. They're never going to be held accountable. Ever. That's why I want to know, what are we going to do with this? How are we really going to handle this? You know, that's my thing. Like, how are we really going to handle this? So I think everybody needs to sit back and really think about all the stuff that's going on in your own community and say, what can I do to better my community? And stop focusing on a hey, you can do what you want to do, but just know that the darkness has come to light. Now let's get these people that are doing this dark stuff right here in your own community. I'm dead serious. That's, if you want to make a difference, start right locally. Don't, if you think you're going to go ahead and write the president, or you're going to go to Congress or the state house and think you're going to do anything with this topic, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. You're just out of it. So I pray that everybody can find their way with this topic. You know, it's just like it's a never ending thing. I will get deeper into it. I'm gonna go ahead and probably just end this for now, and I'll get back on and we'll get more into it. But I just wanted to make it clear, like, yo, I am just as much interested in protecting. I'm more interested in protecting the children than anybody I know that comes through here. But I like to do it the righteous way. And we already know Prince Andrews. We already know Clintons. We know all this stuff. And nothing's been done. And nothing's going to be done. So that being said, you know, we need to start looking in the mirror and saying, how can we actually do something without going into the chat or having TDS syndrome, because you're absolutely stuck in a rabbit hole that you can't get out of, or a loophole. That's what you're in. You're in a loophole. Just a big giant loop going around and around, asking for the same stuff. Will Smith, no doubt. Michael Jackson, no doubt. Like, dude, do we need to get? Does that make you sleep better at night? Knowing that Bill Gates passed on an STD to his wife, does that make you sleep better at night? That's my question. Or does it make you feel stupid that you went out and you trusted him during, you know, he ain't a doctor. I'm just using him as one of a million examples. He's not a doctor. He's just a sick human being. Yeah, exactly, Turbo. Exactly. He's just a sick human being. And you know how much people supported him and called me names for calling him exactly what he is? It's incredible. It's incredible the scrutiny you get for speaking the truth. That's why I'm sitting back watching all this and laughing. Because I'm going, you know what? Told you. Told you. I told you. And I hate being that one that goes, oh, I don't want to be the one that took. I told you so. Yeah, no, I told you so. Ryan told you. We got on and screamed this for the top of our lungs. This has been going on forever. Hey, Tanya, likewise. Likewise. A lot of people did. A lot of people thought we were off our rocker, and now they're saying the stuff that we don't even talk about no more. Turbo. And then when they mentioned, you know, him with that situation, and he's like, he's not here anymore. Dude, that was about the most evil answer I ever heard in my life. I don't know if y'all heard Melinda's little clip out of her interview that she just did, but she absolutely, you know, lightweight confirmed that these people are on a whole nother level. They're on a whole nother level. So, you know, I just find it amazing. Oh, not just that. And then they were talking about assimilation. Like, dude, I can't even talk about the stuff that I want to on here without like totally just butchering it because I'd have to be in complete code. But go back and read one of the emails where they talk about the assimilation. Do that. Go look at that one. Oh, what about Roseanne? What'd she do? Because they did her dirty, bro. They did Roseanne dirty. All she did was say that chick looked like she was from the Planet of the Apes and supported George Soros. That's all she did. And the climate that we're living in today, that's nothing. That did not deserve to be murked off your own, unalived off your own show from an opiate. That was the dirtiest thing you could have possibly have done to her. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Honestly, that was crazy, just not good. And then, you know what? We'll talk about this too while I'm on it. Is the Super Bowl. Everybody keeps talking about the Super Bowl. Bro, he didn't speak a lick of English in that show. People were over here saying, oh, like, because I guess he had a football in his hand, right? And it said, we're all American. No, you're not American, bro. You're not American. We're not all American. Like, dude, if you saw the loge that he was sitting in, it was non-Americans. The whole thing was a giant spit in all of our faces. I wasn't even looking at it as a left or a right thing or anything like that. It was just anti-American, 1,000%. Maybe I should learn Spanish. Dude, I would rather watch you get caught up by ICE than learn Spanish. How about that one? How about that one, Red Wing? Why don't you learn how to open your mouth and goggle? Look, Tanya, I watched it for the reasoning of seeing what's going on. I like to see what type of symbolism. Hey, bro, I got something for you, bro. You dumbass. You can't even spell it right, dummy. Goodbye. But yeah, I watched both. I listened to one and watched the other. I started to listen to the Kid Rock one, but then I went over because I was just absolutely enthralled at what I was watching at the halftime show. I was just enthralled. We are in America. Dude. And then y'all want to talk about the list. Well, you do know that Lady Gaga is definitely on that list. It's definitely on that list. And then I don't know if y'all heard Green Day. Who heard Green Day? Did you guys hear the Green Day stuff before the actual Super Bowl? They made it absolutely 1,000% political. And it's like, dude, can we not go one day without being political and just actually watching football and kicking it? And, they walk off, and then this is where I'm going to end it with this. And this is where I had my beef with people on Facebook. Like, yo, they were like, he did rep the United States flag. Yeah, he had it up there. But who watched it? Hit one in the chat if you did. If you watched it, you would have seen when he walked off the field, they were waving the Gaza flag, the Palestinian flag, no American flag at all. So please don't come at me with he represented both. No, he didn't. And I'm sorry, but the idiot from Green Day looked like a lesbian. He looked like a 50-year-old lesbian. That's what he looked like. With his weird ass hair and his butch lesbian face. That's what he looked like, bro. It was embarrassing. His hate for America was embarrassing, dude. It was sad. It was sad, dude. I was like, wow, I used to like Green Day. I used to actually like Green Day. But yeah, it was pathetic. So anybody that's sitting here saying, oh, conservatives are mad, any American should be like upset about that. Because this is America, bro. This isn't the Latin half Super Bowl. This isn't soccer, dude. This is football. Remember, we used to have like people like Whitney Houston and Prince and Michael Jackson. What happened? Tanya, you said it exactly. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, Tanya. It was so embarrassing that I couldn't even I was just like, wow. Wow. Okay. I know, Jesse, Billy, did you not see the clip? Did you see the clip of him talking about him and talking about Noam and Stephen Miller and all them? I can't even play it for you because of the music. But hey, I'll stay on. Y'all can look it up real fast. There's a quick clip of it. Dude, it was like, it said all you need to know. It said it said all you need to know about the symbolism of what's going on in our country. Just look at the colors. Look at the colors that they represented. Yeah, I know what flag that was, but shouldn't be surprised. It was in San Francisco. Who expected anything less besides maybe some homeless people taking a dump in the street while we're watching the game? It's the only thing I didn't see, and I'm sure it's out there. That's it. That's it. Nothing good about San Francisco. And I'm going to leave it at this. Why didn't Kendrick perform this year in Cali and let Lil Wayne get last year? There was an agenda. I'm sorry, but there was an agenda, and that's just that. All right, I'm at an hour and 42 minutes. I wanted this to go I was going to go as long as really the algorithm went, but, I don't want to see it. I'm tired of America being last. I'm tired of America being ripped off and being disrespected. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Tanya, I hear you. I'm just tired of the minority, which is a small amount of people, not like minority as in like race or color. I mean, minority of people, liberals, left, cut, whatever you want to call them, against the rest of the country and world who doesn't want to see that stuff. They're shitting in our faces, you guys. They are. They're disrespecting us, and then we're fighting each other over it. It's crazy to me. It's just absolutely I don't know. It's just crazy to me how this stuff goes. So, but much love, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all be good. I'll pop back through. I'll find more content so I can get off this other stuff, because I do got good Maxwell file stuff that I did want to play, but I wasn't going to play it for 52 people or 100 people. I'm going to watch the Cavs game if that's the case. So y'all be good. Stay blessed, Turbo. Thank you, Tanya, Jesse, Ryan, everybody that's popped in and stuck around. Much love to you. I know y'all get it. I don't even got to explain to you guys. I'm preaching to the choir. And anybody that's watching this today, like, share, and sub. Come back through. I will have more on these topics. I'm going to get up out of here, though. Much love. God bless. Peace. I'm out, y'all. Wait. Whoa. I want to change the headliner. Hold on. Don't take me for real yet. Hold on. I want to do that. I want to change the headliner to the Trump thing. I want to change it to the Trump thing. I don't want it to be that. Trump interview. Let's get that out the way. Yeah, this one. This one. Oh, get rid of the commercial. Let's. All right. All right. Boom. 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 Look at him. He looks like he's a mess, dude. He looks a mess in this still I got of him. Look at him. He looks a mess. All right, y'all. Much love. Y'all be good. Peace. God bless. I'm out.